Hi everyone, my name is Mondo, and this is episode 48 of Hungry Gaming Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today is March 9th, 2018, but you are most likely listening in sometime after this coming Monday. If you are new to the show, every week we discuss a gaming issue, the pros and cons. At the conclusion of the discussion, we pass the conversation on to you, the jury, to make a final verdict. Today we'll be discussing Sea of Thieves, predictions, and whether we believe it will be a success at launch. Joining us today, our host, Lewis. What's up?
Hey man, just want to keep playing that beta for Sea of Thieves right after this.
Oh man, I am so excited. And also joining us, Kevin. Dude, what's up?
Hey, I know it's been a while. I haven't been here legit 2 months, but good to be back.
Hey man, you're back. You're joining us,
Yeah.
And it's a good topic because we're going to be discussing Sea of Thieves. You just jumped into it recently.
Yeah.
Lewis and I have been on it for about 2 or 3 weeks. I've been on it since the beginning, but
Since forever.
Lewis, you've already been on for a while now. I think 2 weeks.
Yep.
So we'll be able to kind of discuss this. And the whole point of this episode is going to be just coming to whether we believe it is going to be a success, what we think may not help, and what we think may help. And I think we all have some things to say about that. But before we begin, there is some housekeeping. Please remember to check out our main website, www.hungjurynetwork.com. There you can find all of our latest episodes, and you can subscribe to make sure you never miss a beat of what we have to say. Episodes are uploaded every Monday, although timing may depend on the weather. You can also find us on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play Music, Stitcher, and other affiliate podcast services by simply searching Hungry Gaming Podcast. If you have something to say, a comment or recommendation, join the jury by liking our Facebook page and tweeting us at Hungry Gaming Podcast. So, let's start with last week's verdict. Last week we spoke about the differences between PUBG and Fortnite. Lewis, pretty heated debate, I guess, a little bit. You're full PUBG. I'm kind of I want to like Fortnite, but it obviously kind of has some things that I don't like, especially the gameplay mechanics. I know that you're a huge PUBG fan because of just the pure realism of it. Let's look at the results. So we had a poll, and the poll had 3 questions. What game between the both had the best gameplay mechanics? And Fortnite received a 33%, while PUBG 67%. So PUBG took the cake on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had most difficult to win, which game we thought was probably the hardest to actually get to that, winner chicken dinner. And PUBG won unanimous. 100% PUBG we thought was harder than Fortnite. And the final option, kind of like this catch-all question, which one would we choose if we had no other game to play? And it would be PUBG at 67%, Fortnite at 33%. Are you guys surprised by these results, or what do we think about this? Because I think I think in the end PUBG does have a stronger fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even flinch to these results, actually. I'm not even surprised.
Yeah, I know that you're a huge PUBG fan, so I know that deep inside you're like, yes, I like this.
No, it's to its credit. I do like the game. I mean, after we had the debate, I actually did go back and played some Fortnite. But afterwards, to give more credit to PUBG, I found out about the RNG concept in Fortnite, which is basically that you have the chance of shooting a crit with certain weapons and after certain rounds. And so I found that a little bit to be game breaking for me. And
yes, so it would be there's a random.
Like a final round in Destiny.
Yeah, like a final round. In Destiny, there's this round.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Destiny
I know
1.
they kind of got rid of that. But it just kind of had this sense of a round in the gun had more punch.
More damage.
Than the others. And in this one, it's randomly selected. Mm-hmm. You don't know which one is gonna hit you that crit. And I know that Lewis doesn't like it because he's kind of this tactician.
It's too much on luck.
I just like standardization in games. I like games that give you an equal opportunity to win.
Yeah. Which brings us to the first topic that we're going to discuss really quickly on our general update, and that's Escape from Tarkov. So in this little segment of our podcast, we just discuss real quick news about gaming that we think is relevant, at least in our side of gaming. Mm-hmm. And Escape from Tarkov is definitely on it. We've been playing for 2 weeks now. Mm-hmm. This game has been in alpha, beta for I think a year.
Oh wow, long time.
It's got a huge cult following. People on YouTube either hate it or love it. Most people love it. But it is a tough game. It's a very hard game. The concept is easy. You go in with loot. You go in with your own gear, right? Mm-hmm. If you die, you lose the gear. It's as easy as that. You lose the gear because some other player came up to you and picked that up. If you own a certain weapon you like, you're more hesitant to jump into the game or jump into the game without weapon because you don't want to lose it. If you die, you lose it. Lewis, just give us a little runaround on what do you think about the mechanics of the game, like the actual the gunfights and just the way it plays.
It plays pretty realistic. I know you said I'm the guy that goes for a realistic game, so I was pretty impressed with the gameplay mechanics in that aspect. Very, very difficult. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played. If I had to say I could compare it to another game, it would be like the Dark Souls of FPS. As each time, because you're going to die a lot. You're going to die over and over and over again until you get up your skill. And we play like many rounds, you and I, and even up to like, we're getting better, but I've seen a lot of players on YouTube completely would wipe the floor with us if it was a 1-to-1 combat situation. I definitely it's very difficult to go up against someone that has this armor that's called fort armor. It's very expensive armor. It's very, very it puts you at a disadvantage if you're going on a hatchet run. And what a hatchet run is just you're going in like with basically nothing. So I think it's yeah, because that way you save your weapons and your money, and the whole point of the game is just to acquire more loot. But yeah, it's very difficult, and it's one of those games that you have to dedicate yourself to it and research more to get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really see Kevin playing this type of game. Like I can maybe see him like jump in and kind of like
mess
test
around.
it out. Yeah, but it's one of these games that like it requires a lot of time.
Well, the thing is, I do get obsessed with certain games. Like I know, like for instance, like you played Bloodborne, and I watched you play most of it.
Oh, that
then I jumped on it and I bought the book. I watched videos, and like you helped me out. So like I had like you as my researcher, me researching on the side. I put like at least 60 hours plus, I'll say 20 just researching on top of that. So if I like a game, I'll do maximize and research everything, but I have to get invested in it, you know?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a glimpse later on the game itself. But just to give the audience a general idea of like what we mean by hardcore, the game has no HUD. You receive no feedback from
the environment.
So your only way of understanding what's going on in the game is through manual cues. So, for example, there's a strategy in a special map, in a map called Factory, where there's a building inside the warehouse, and it has 3 levels. If you watch YouTube and you watch these skilled players play, they have nailed the concept of listening down to where they will stop. They'll just stop in the middle of like a corner and listen. And if they hear wood that's muffled, they know it's 3rd floor. If they hear tiles creaking, it's 2nd floor.
What?
And they'll know by the way it sounds, the running and all that, where the person's heading. It's an incredibly
insane.
Incredibly insane game where your skill level is tied to not your character but to you yourself learning how to play the game. You do not have a magazine count. You need to actually unload the magazine, look at the magazine
and count manually
to see how many you have. It gives you, albeit it gives you a little bit of a cheat sheet where in the bottom corner of the screen it'll tell you less than half. But that's it. That's the most it'll tell you. Less than half. Full. Half. More than half. Stuff like
it's really brutal.
That's all they help you with. Bullets are directly, it's not like you just run over ammo. Bullets are directly specific for each weapon as they are in real life. So if you're running a 5.39 by 40, I don't know the numbers, but it'll only be for a certain type of weapon. You can only use magazines for that weapon. You have to, whenever you go into a raid, as they call them, you need to make sure you have, like this happened to Lewis earlier today. We were playing. He's like, dude, I brought in the wrong ammo.
For the wrong weapon.
Wrong weapon, wrong ammo. If you bring in the wrong magazine with the wrong bullets, it's just not going to work out.
Not to mention that even when you're buying stuff in the store, it's not even presented to you like fully. You have to actually right-click and examine the items because they're hidden. So it's like if you're actually going into, it's like if you're in a real life situation, if you're going to a store and like going through like the aisles and like, okay, so this is here, this is there. They're shadowed out and you have to examine them. And then you're like, oh, okay, this is what that's it. And there's a lot of them that are shadowed out.
It's a metaphorical pick up and look.
Yeah, it's a pick up and look thing. And it doesn't explain you a lot of things. You have to inspect it and you have to read the details of it. Over time, you'll know what it's not annoying. It's like, I compare it to that to like, if it was like, it's like a D&D session. You have to prepare it before you play the game, in the sense that you have to make sure your stash is ready because you're gonna pick up loot. You have to make
Lewis,
sure you have the right weapons.
How much time do we spend in the character screen?
After each raid, at least like a good 5 minutes.
At least
or
I would say sometimes
average 5 minutes.
Average, I say we spend as much time in the raid as we spend looking at our character after it.
Yeah,
You know, it's kind of like when you go to in the tower in Destiny and you're like looking at your guns and your gear and you're, selling things and, it's like that. Yeah. It's very intense stuff. We're going to actually, for the next episode, Lewis and I have already agreed that we're going to have a Hunt versus Escape from Tarkov. And I know that some people think that might be a little odd because Hunt is it's like slightly different, but it still has the same mechanic. It's still, you're going into a match where whatever you go in with, you'd lose. In Hunt, it's the character itself. Like, you lose the player.
Oh,
the
wow.
You kind of like, you hire these like characters, and those are the ones you're bringing in with you. And if one dies, you have to rehire another one. And these characters, you can level them up. You can get traits, and if they die, they're gone. So it has that same like
feel,
permadeath in the match type of feel. So we're gonna next week. Hopefully, Kevin can join us. If he can't, unfortunately, but we'll try and get as many people who we know play these style of games, because this is going to be a very intense episode, and I think that a lot of people, this is kind of like it's like a new genre that's kind of like creeping up on us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Next on the line of topics, just a quick bring up. I know, Kevin, you want to talk about the God of War PlayStation 4 Pro Edition. It looks awesome.
I have like mixed. Like I think I like it, but I did, like you said it earlier, it looks very busy. I just like it because the price is $400 and it comes with the game. So the price, I think it's 1 terabyte PlayStation Pro. So for the price, comes with the game. The design's like busy, but if you don't mind the gray and it has like some like gold like outline in certain areas, it's not a bad price. Especially I'm pretty sure God of War will be a pretty good game, and you get like at least 20-30 hours in it. So for $400, you just need a 4K TV.
I mean, what better game to have a PlayStation 4 designed around than God of War? You know, we're talking like a pretty deep Sony exclusive. Yeah,
I'm sure that they get a lot of awards and good reviews on it. My favorite is still the PlayStation 2, Destiny 2, white, all white edition.
I know. It looks
very nice. That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah,
but this one's like, for the pricing and what you're getting, it's not a bad deal financially wise.
So we have God of War coming out late spring, and I'm assuming the PlayStation 4 Pro will be released in the bundle sometime around that release.
Around that time.
So just keep up with that. I know you're really into bundles. I know you're actually later on looking into a Pro.
Yeah, because like you just bought a TV.
Yeah,
and
the
4K with HDR for like 320, which I want. I don't want a big TV for my room. I'm not looking for anything crazy. And you bought a 40-inch, which is perfect. Because you don't want I don't want like a 50, anything 50s and 60. I don't need that.
Yeah.
You guys, I can spend like $1,000 on it. 40-inch, if I can find it smaller, obviously they don't make any smaller. But 40-inch is not bad for 4K, nice. And then upgrade later to a Pro. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, there's really no reason to upgrade to the Pro. I mean, I know it's important. Like, there's you got like performance upgrades.
Yeah,
alternative games. On a 1080.
Yeah.
But honestly, the if you already own a PlayStation, you might as well just keep it with that, unless you have a 4K TV.
So yeah, process. So I'll get the TV now. I'll get the system later. Yeah. But I could like the way you told me the TV you bought for the price is it's awesome. So I'll upgrade later on that.
So after this, we're gonna talk about the Nintendo glitch. I didn't know about this.
I read it like a few days ago, and I'm like, oh, just keep it in mind. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's not really gonna affect players that don't care about their time in the game. But I guess
I think most people. Like, if you invest a lot of time on a game, you care. It's just a little like, oh, let me just see how much hours I put in, how long it took for me to beat the game, whatever. Like, people like timing, like how long it took me to beat the game, how long it took me to 100% a game, how much time I played overall. So supposedly there's like a glitch in the Nintendo Switch that, like, your time will be 0 after 1 year playing a game, but supposedly it's still keeping track of it in the background. And Nintendo's supposedly got to fix that. But just imagine you log in one time and then you didn't know about this. You log in, you're like, oh, it's 0. Like, I thought I played 30 hours and it's just freaky.
My worry would be that I lost the save. Like, that's my worry.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
My worry would be like, oh my God, like, I lost my game save.
So, like,
I played
back at
30,
0.
40, 50 hours of Zelda and now it's deleted. And since they really don't give you a chance to, like, back it up in any way.
Exactly. That's what scares you even more.
Freaking out.
No, but it's just, it supposedly keeps track of it. It's just they got to fix the glitch. Or I guess a display
Alright.
glitch.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, it's not bad, but it's just initially, if
They
you
do
ever
need to
saw
fix
it,
it,
you
though.
freak out.
Yeah, they need to fix it. All right.
Something minor, but thank God it's very minor.
Yeah. Well, that will be closing up our gaming news segment.
Yeah, very small. Nothing crazy.
We just want to keep it short because we do want to jump into this next topic. Sea of Thieves, it's had countless betas. I don't know how many attempts.
I actually jumped on one, which is pretty funny.
It's very good. I'm just glad that Rare has given us the opportunity to try this game out to the level that it has. I mean, sometimes developers will kind of release the beta really, really close to release, gather up some hype, and then release the game. Some people will release a beta like 4 weeks in advance and then kind of wait, ride the hype that comes after closing the beta. And Rare has just been like, nah, we're just going to give you the game four different times, or 5 or 6. The first time I jumped into a session in Sea of Thieves was back in December.
Oh, wow.
And I've been in every single session since then. And I think there's been like 5 different sessions. So it's been the closed, like the pre-closed beta in December. Then you had the closed beta in January. Then you had like 4 scale tests or 3 scale tests. And now you have this instance, which is they're calling the final beta. If you're listening to this on Monday, the beta is already closed. It's from Friday to Sunday. But I think that we have enough information at this point to make a good guesstimate on whether we're going to enjoy the game. That's kind of like a subjective view. I want to tackle the issue on whether we think what our predictions are on the aspects of the game that are going to do good and the aspects of the game that need to change, improve. What do we think? We might be completely wrong. That's okay. We're not, magical mind magicians here. But just stuff like that. And I'll start with knowing that, Kevin, I'm going to start with your point. You kind of brought it up like involuntarily while we were playing, but you realize that the Xbox version has it's not that like prime. Like when you play on the PC version,
it's not.
It plays smoother.
I don't know how to. I don't know how it has to do with your equipment. Obviously, you're on a more superior equipment, but I'm playing on the Xbox S, which is decent. Because the game's graphics are not insane either. But I did notice when I was playing, I noticed some lag and stuff like that. Because obviously your internet's spectacular. There's no internet with the internet. It's probably just lag issues and just catching up to the game. But it wasn't bad overall. It wasn't to the point I'm freezing, I'm lagging. It was just very minor. But the game looked good. You said, it looked good on the Xbox. So I wouldn't mind me playing on Xbox and playing PC. I don't think it will be any issues with it at all.
Sounds good. Then let's discuss the first topic, and that's map size. The map size is relatively large. There's conversation on whether there's going to be 4 large maps or whether Rares is going to expand this one. We all kind of I think the general community thought that it was going to be 4 maps. I went on a Reddit post the other day, and we were all kind of confused as to where we got the information from about 4 maps. I'm not kidding.
Really?
A whole bunch of people just going, we know we heard about 4 maps. We just don't know where we heard it from. So it's either a rumor that started that got so powerful that became credible in some way, or we just all made it up. What do they call it? The Mandela effect?
That's pretty funny.
It's when a group of people believe in something that's not true.
That's like with the Berenstain Bear books that people thought it was spelled differently, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And then people swear. A group of people believe.
So hard.
That is what it is. This is actually a great topic we will be discussing hopefully later on in the social podcast.
That's interesting.
The Mandela effect, because I know that that's it's like a phenomena that people just it's bizarre.
They just believe it after a while.
It's an absolute bizarre. Well, it's like the Luke, I am your father. He never says it ever. Vader never says it. He says, "No, I am your father." But somewhere along the line, somebody added the word Luke. And just stuck with it.
That is so true.
Somebody just stuck with it, and then that's it. I mean, there are shirts out there that says "Luke, I am your father." There are slogans and
that's pretty funny.
People putting it on merchandise, and it was never said ever.
They're just
It's not part of the movie.
It's not official dialogue. Dialogue. Interesting. You know what? Now you mention it, it's true.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
There's a few lists of those, and we'll probably discuss those more in the social podcast. But for now, the map size is pretty big. I think. Are you guys? Kevin, you experienced the map. Lewis, I know we extensively experienced the map. What are our thoughts on that?
Well, I want to go back to the thing about the 4 maps. I do hope they have the 4 maps because we brought up the idea that what if there was like some snowy environments that, you know, a lot of pirates did go to like snowy environments and like there could be ice. I would like to see some
like glaciers.
Glaciers, yes, that would be really nice.
Name our boat.
Not only that, but the attire, you know, the hail storms would be different rather than what they have now.
That'll be actually interesting.
It would be really cool. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm excited for the 4 map idea if it is something.
If it occurs.
I really hope that, you know, like the rumor stays true.
Well,
That'll be really interesting.
There's so many seas in the ocean. They could do it here. They could name the maps like different seas, you know. That'd be pretty. It's a cool concept. But from the game so far, I want them to add more ways to get more loot. I'm not bored with the quest. I love the quests. I just want, like, for example, fishing to be an option. Have a dog tag option. I would like to get pirates, like something like either from their ship or something to like bring back to like the hoarders and get loot for that. That's a pretty cool concept because that's also
that is really cool.
That would encourage more engagements of pirates of attacking each other. Although people do it already, but it just gives them more of an incentive to actually board their ship and actually take like a symbol representing that you actually managed to defeat these pirates in some sort of way. That's a thing I would like to see them add. I want them to add more sea creatures. I know they're adding the Kraken, but it would be cool if they add a Megalodon. Yes. They'd add a Leviathan. I hope they have talks about that. This is a game that has so far been the pedestal of a pirate. You know, there hasn't been a game like this that makes me feel like that has made me feel like a pirate. And I just really hope that they can expand this game even further because it could really test the limits. It's such an aesthetic game that it's just a pleasure to play. It's relaxing. It has competition. It has team coordination. It's just an all well-rounded game that I just want to spend more hours on, and I hope they keep expanding.
You know what? And I completely agree with you. I hope that they do expand. I think that the whole point Rare has come up with, like, they're saying, let's create like a living game, and by living, they mean that the game is going to evolve. It's kind of like Destiny and how Bungie with Destinies is kind of like kept on with it. And I mean, we have our reservations with Bungie on how they've done it, but it's been able to be a game that's lived for 3 years. At least that's the one. Yeah. So I completely agree with that. Now let's focus on content. Lewis, you brought up content. You primarily you said loot. You want more loot, or ways to get loot.
Right.
Let's just quickly glance over the fact that you have like the different vendors. You've got like the vendor that sells like weapons. You got the vendor that sells clothing. The vendor that sells I think it's like vanity stuff. I think they refer to it as like. Is it vanity or is it no? It's equipment. It's equipment. You've got equipment,
clothing, and
equipment, clothing, and guns
and weapons.
What do you saw the final beta? They finally released what seems to be a more comprehensive catalog of items. I mean, now you've got like a full load of items. I mean, in the past scale test, we only saw like a page, if only that. And now we're seeing pages and pages of loot. Do you think that this is good enough for the release of the game, or do you want to see more than just that at release?
This game is already worth $30, in my opinion. At least worth $30, if not $40. From what I've seen, the way that they're doing this is that you unlock, and it's a great way to do it. You unlock more attire and more things of that sort as your reputation on the seas increases. That's great. I also think that they could do, because maybe some people don't like going to islands and just, digging up treasure as a way of gaining XP or increasing their reputation. Fishing could be an option. Hunting down pirates could be an option. There could be multiple quests that give you chances to increase
like
XP.
A bounty hunter.
Right. Like, so for example, there could be a bounty and tell you, okay, hunt down this many pirates, bring me their things, and this amount of XP and loot will be granted to you. That's an option. And that increases your reputation. We've already seen this with the forts, the skeleton forts with the pirates that we played today, which have been fantastic, by the way. Those hordes of skeletons, it's very difficult.
The raids, fantastic.
From that alone,
we're gonna hopefully we'll get another one coming up tonight or this weekend, so we can show Covenant.
For sure. Not just one, multiple. But what I'm trying to bring up with
Many
that
of them.
is that it's an XP it's an XP monster. Because the beta refreshed our characters, we had to create new characters. I went in fresh out the bat, and me and Mondo here went straight to the skeleton cloud where the forts are, because that's when the raid's going on. And we managed to kill the captain, bring back the loot. It was 2,500 around there. And not only that, but I went from 1 to 5 in just one instance. So that's another option of getting just one raid. Yeah. It leveled us up to level 5. Now I'm not sure if it's based on the treasure and the loot. I think it is, but that's I just think that the variety of ways to gain XP would definitely increase more playability and more audiences. And it would decrease the staleness of the game over time, rather than just going to islands and digging up treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one thing, the whole quest of going to an island, looking at the map, and it can get a little old after a while. I mean, it's cute the first few times you do it, but then after a while, you're kind of like, all right, I want more. But I think that's where, and I completely agree, like a variety of loot and ways to get loot is fantastic. But hopefully, I'm like crossing my fingers on, for Rare here, that the quests evolve to much, much harder. I mean, I know that we obviously have the riddles, we have different factions. You've got the traders, you've got the gold hoarders. And they all have different ways of questing you. One of them is like pretty much get a chicken. What do they call them? Like the
chicken
cage.
Yeah. Chicken cages.
And then you have to kind of run behind a chicken and like put it into the cage. So that's pretty cute. I did it. It's kind of lucrative. It's like about 300 coins per chicken. So
not bad.
It takes a little bit because you have to find the chickens. But once you learn which island they're on, I'm sure it becomes
a little bit easier.
It's much quicker.
It's an XP farm.
Yeah, it is an XP farm. Yeah, I think so. So we've talked about the vanity. Do you guys looked at the stuff that you can customize your character with? Is there anything in particular that you saw that you either thought should be added, or something you thought that you're like, oh, this looks really cool? Because I know that I've seen already a few things that I'm like, I want that.
I just thought that some of the, and it's just a gripe with me, but I just thought that, for example, there's items in the games, for example, the Bilgewater gear and the Admiral gear. Personally, I like the more sleek attire, and I always think the sleeker attire should be more valuable. This is just my opinion. But the Bilgewater one just looks like regular standard gear, and I don't know why it costs the same as the Admiral's attire. I think that could have been valued differently. I'm not upset so far with what the attire that's been given to us in the beta is. I'm sure they're going to add more. We saw the addition of more modifications to the ship. They look beautiful. I hope they keep adding, the front. I don't know what what's the main, the statue in the front of the ship that what's that called?
Yeah, it's like it's the
helm. What is it?
No, it's like I have no clue what they call it, but I understand what you're referring to. Yeah, it's the statue that goes into the front of the ship. Like
the addition of that is amazing. That you can edit that. There's different color schemes for that too, which is great. Hope they just keep adding more modifications to the ship. Like I said, it's the perfect pirate game so far, and I just hope they just keep advancing it and adding more loot and things that you can buy with, because that's hopefully, like you said, they have seasons and they add like winter clothes. Halloween will be pretty cool.
That would be really fun.
Halloween, like a skeleton gear or something like that. That would be nice to see. Let's just see what they do. It's just a matter of time, but so far they're doing good. All
right. Now I want to discuss, so everything that we've discussed up until this point is very not controversial. Okay, like things, I love to spend my time on Reddit. I love to read through Reddit, and I think most people are satisfied with the way the game is, the quests. Some people would obviously, there's always that one person that's like, I want more loot, I want more quests.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah, there's always going to be that person. I mean, having seen many games that have released with substantial amount of content, always that guy who's like, I finished the game, I have 1,200 hours under it, the game wasn't worth it. You're like, what? Like, dude, you spend your entire life playing the game. You paid $60 for it, and you said it wasn't worth it. Okay, let's talk now to the gameplay side. There are some people, and they're valid concerns that some of the gameplay might get really either dull or kind of like dragged out, and that's primarily with the ship-to-ship combat. A lot of people complain that ship-to-ship combat, if you like, the best way to explain it is if you just have the example of you have two ships, both equally skilled crew, right? They're simply just repairing and shooting until one of them runs out of resources, and that could take some time. So you effectively have like a fight that could last forever, and then we eventually just have like this like stalemate, boring, dull battle. That's what people have argued. I have not had that happen to me because I find the chase fascinating. Right. So for me, following somebody halfway across the map for 30 minutes is exciting. Maybe I'm easily satisfied, but I find that to be exciting.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like Kevin, I know you're a little more fast paced when it comes to these types of games. Like I know you like to play. You obviously don't have the time, to do things like this, like 30-minute chases. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, do you think this is something that they should fix?
I can kind of see like what people are arguing. Like it might get boring, especially like you're like if you shoot a cannon, the patient's already okay. Now you have to chase him. Okay, let's just align it. So like, and because honestly, other than cannons, how are you gonna shoot people with guns, right? I guess if they start adding like, animals or like random events, and then like weather, like just keep adding shit, and then maybe it'll get more interesting. People be like, oh, there's a storm coming out now. Oh, the Kraken came out. You said, it's Kraken. So they keep adding like animals, events, more weapons. I guess more variety how to shoot people down. Like maybe like having like a monkey, like go send a monkey out and infest them, throw with poop or something. You never know. So I think they can get. Honestly, it's a game that can get very creative because there's so many things you could do with pirates. Like you can do like a theme of like Pirates of the Caribbean theme. You can do something with like the Goonies, go on a treasure chest and try and find the gold. And there's like a massive hunt so you can find the gold. Like
that would be really cool. Like a massive mouse hunt.
Massive like treasure chest max.
Yeah, there's one chest in that server. One chest.
One chest for like that day, and people have to go hunt us.
They gotta go hunt
massive.
Yeah.
And like you're all out that day. You log in. You're like, okay, starts at 10 a.m. Go whoever finds.
That would be really funny. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, things like that.
$10,000 honestly, or something like that.
Yeah, something ridiculous, like a fortune. Yeah, a fortune.
But you need like a 4-man team, and good luck if you make it halfway. Things like that keeps it interesting. Like they can do a lot of events and activities like that. Keep it interesting, and people won't get bored, I guess.
The game has weather mechanics, and there are storms. But I definitely agree with the fact that having either more animals interact with the ship, like krakens. Sharks are getting kind of boring. I want to see something more than sharks,
like dolphins, squids, like massive squids.
Variety.
Whales.
I'm okay with that. That's fine. I think that having a little bit more than just sharks is cool. One thing that I definitely believe the game needs, and this is like my just personal, is I don't know why they did this, but I would like the ability to like stop the ship farther away. This is primarily for a galleon. The sloop is not. This is not part of the sloop because it would be a sloop. We need a shuttle to get off the galleon. Like the galleon, like I would like to be able to park the galleon farther away from the island because it takes longer to move and it takes longer to start, and have like a little rowboat. The good thing is that there are images of gaming material and marketing that have characters in a rowboat. So it's promising. It's promising.
Plus, you can creep up on somebody because they won't expect the big shit.
Yeah, well, and you could create a strategy around it. The second thing that I have a little bit of beef with is the respawn system, and I think Lewis can attest to this. The respawn is kind of, not that it's wonky, it's very reliable, but because it's reliable, people know where to go. So when you die, a lot of people on Reddit have been complaining about this as well, and predominantly it's the fact that there's 2 spawn points in the game. 2 spawn points. When you die, you have the mermaid show up.
Yeah.
So when you die, you respawn to where the mermaid is. So that's the first spawn point. That spawn point is kind of wishy-washy because you can technically have a ship kind of spawn killing you. keeping you from the mermaid. Yeah. Vice versa, you can protect the loot that you have when you die by continuing to spawn there without going to the mermaid. Effectively keeping any pirates that killed you from getting your chest. Your chest. Make sense? So it's a little bit of a weird mechanic.
Yeah.
Once you touch the mermaid, it spawns you somewhere far away or somewhere else. But a fix with that would be kind of cool. And then my final one is just I really like the idea of a bounty system.
Yeah, like
Predominantly a bounty system that when you're at the outpost, people want the outpost to be a no PvP zone. I don't like that. I want it to be PvP.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be wherever you go, you could get attacked. There's real risk.
yeah.
But I want there to be a little bit of risk for those who are attacking as well. I want it to be kind of on an equal balance. So I'm okay with like being like maybe like one PvP outpost, have like a safe haven like criteria to it.
Okay.
But but you can still kill people there. If you kill somebody though, you get a bounty.
And then people can chase you.
But you're probably thinking to yourself, like, Lewis and Kevin, you're probably thinking to yourself, but like, dude, like, okay, so it's effectively a no PvP, because if you put a bounty on, nobody's gonna want to do it. Depends on what you want to do, because with the bounty system, I would also remember the game has this like become a legendary pirate idea.
Uh-huh.
I argue if you get enough bounties on you, you become notoriously like you have a bad reputation.
Yeah.
You become a pirate.
Yeah.
So that's just my thought on the bounty system. I thought that would be really cool, especially like it kind of solves two problems. It keeps the normal like people like us from attacking a sloop that's parked outside. Yeah. Because we'd be like, no, let's not do it. We don't want that bounty on us.
Yeah.
But then you have those people who are like, we want people to follow. We want people to find us. We want people to like fight us.
Yeah.
Those people can then take action and attack. Lewis, what are your thoughts on that?
I want to actually go back. We went a little bit. No pun intended. We stranded a bit far from the ship here, from what I'm trying to talk about. I want to talk about. We're going back to when people were discussing that it was a bit too long, the battles at the sea,
the dragged out battles.
Yeah, and that there's nothing much to do at the sea. Like I said, I like the realism, and I just think that people should know that they're jumping into a game that is not a quick game. Each time you play, it's going to take more than 20 minutes to even do one quest. Alone, it takes 20 minutes. It would not make sense for there to be a teleportation to go from one island to one island, because there's no point of being on the sea anyway. Because it would just ruin the game if you can just teleport around.
Because the game is part of the game is the journey. You like going riding and on your ship. And
commandeering the ship and all that. As for the fights, though, it all depends on the skills of the pirate. How well can you maneuver the ship? How well can you aim? How well resourced are you stacked? What's the strategy? Are you gonna go against the ship? Are you gonna ram into it and then fight off the crew? Or are you gonna go and get on the side and with your galleon shoot off all 4 cannons at one time and hope to God that they all hit? I mean, it's a base of skill and it's a base of all team coordination. You don't have to fight people. You do because you want to get the loot, and that's the beauty of it. And in reality, pirates would take a while to actually take down another ship. So it's a real good simulation of that kind of sense, which I love a lot. Adding on to that with the animals, yes, they do need to add whales, octopuses, all of that. Anything that they could add, any type of fish, any type of fishing that you can bring back fish to merchants, I would love. And the sky's the limit. Also, they could add animals like pets. I think they're going to include pets. I hope that if they don't include parrots, at least I'll be pretty upset. Your parrot could be like flying around your ship. You could do stuff with it. There could be a monkey going up and down the mast or staying on top of the sails. Who knows? This is still the beta, and I'm pretty impressed with what they've done so far. Also, adding on to the bounty thing that you said, Mondo. They should have like a radius around the outpost, that if you actually attack someone and take their loot, for example, there could be an NPC whose sole purpose is to give out bounty quests. And say you're in that server and some other ship comes and they want to hunt down bounty people because they're like reputable pirates. They go to him and hey, guess what? Daedalus or Galarse 17 have a bounty of 500 loot each on their head because of so and so and so. and then they go out, and then they just have a side mission, but they manage to find us on that server and hunt us down. They receive the that loot once they come back and return it to an outpost and say, hey, we managed to apprehend these pirates or something like that, which would be pretty a nice addition. I want to add on that Justin did say that we do have to have more people into the server because it is kind of a bit barren. Sometimes you see galleons in 30 minutes and you don't see anyone for a while. And hopefully they stuff more people into the servers to make it a little bit more, not chaotic, but a little bit more strategic. Populated. Populated because you would be more concerned about your loot, about your safety, and that's another thing that would decrease the boringness, I guess, from that people are complaining about on the seas, and have more battles out there. Hopefully,
I kind of agree with that because I know when we were playing, we probably ran into like one ship in 30-minute session or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have like mixed feelings about this.
Not too like give a nice balance.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this, and I'm glad that he brought it up because I think that the game is, and I can definitely see a school of thought that's like, no, we need more ships because there are definitely moments where you're sailing and you look around and you're like, there's nobody there.
Mm.
But then I also feel like it's those moments where like you kind of like, because the game is also a work of art. Like it's got this weird like hybrid feeling to it, where half of it is like you're in combat yelling, like obscenities to somebody else, and then on the next one you're like, oh wow, look at this majestic sea, it's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes having those down moments where there's like no ship in sight and you could just kind of relax, get drunk, play some music, horrible if you're drunk, it kind of adds to the environment. Like I was by myself in a sloop earlier this morning and I went to an island and the thought just came across me and I was like, why am I so comfortable going to this island by myself when any player could be hiding in the bushes? And that's because the game does give you, there are just enough players in the server where like you will see somebody, but it's not enough that it feels crowded. But that's just my opinion. I can definitely see a mentality where you're like, no, like there's got to be more people. There needs to be more. I get that.
Not too populated. I just want a balance in which there's just a little bit of like fear, like a little bit of tension when you're going to the island because you know that there's more ships out there that you get like that at any moment that if you guys are just having too much fun and you don't realize that someone comes to ashore and oh wow, shit hits the fan and you gotta pay attention to survive and take the loot away before someone else does.
Maybe it's my ignorance. Maybe I don't know, but I've gone around the entire map. Are there parts of the map that are more populated than others? Could that be something that maybe that if it's not implemented, they can implement? Like maybe have like the area where the Kraken is be more like loot full,
like PvP area.
Have more people there. Yeah,
I
don't know.
I kind of like the idea of the randomness of the Kraken. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe there's gonna be an option that there's gonna be a universal chat that someone can be like, hey, the Kraken is by so and so, or I think the Kraken will appear on the map, and it's like it's gonna be like the Skeleton Fort, I believe, because like the Skeleton Fort has this huge cloud above an island, and the skeleton cloud is literally just a skull of a skeleton, and its eyes are flashing green, meaning that a raid is about to start. Whoever gets there first, and once you get there, it's basically a beacon for a bunch of ships to go there and have a confrontation amongst each other to like not only either cooperate with each other or fight off each other while fighting off a horde of skeletons and the skeleton captain. And that's going to be a center of a lot of action, and I want to see a lot of more of that in the future. But I'm saying that's already one aspect of it. But when the Kraken happens, I read that it's going to be a lot of ships will need to get together in order for them to actually take down the Kraken. And I'm sure there's going to be an award or a merit to that. I'm sure there will be. But I like the idea that the Kraken could spawn randomly anywhere and any time. It creates a sense of dread, and I definitely hope they include the that scary music that they have for the Skeleton Fort, Mondo.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
It's amazing because it signifies battles about to happen and just gets you adrenaline rushed.
No, the music is amazing, and it just goes up and up and up, and you're like, wow, this is getting a little intense. This is getting very intense. Very exciting stuff. On our final note, before we close out, I just want to ask you guys for what you've experienced. Kevin, you've experienced only an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis, you and I have experienced more than countless hours. Let's hear from Lewis first. Lewis, what do you think is going to be the best selling point of the game? Like, what do you think you can go up to somebody and be like, you got to play this game because blah? And what do you think is going to be something that people might not, they're going to be like a little like, not sure. You know, like just off the bat, like think of somebody, like somebody that,
Anyone, visuals, the aesthetics of the game. For everyone. I think it has a universal appeal to everyone. It doesn't have those hardcore graphics that, people will be like, I mean, they look good and all, but I'd rather play Overwatch, because like Overwatch is a universal game that, I mean, everyone says like, wow, that looks like a beautiful game. And they might not play, but they acknowledge it looks beautiful because it looks very polished. This is a game that looks very polished and it's the best water I've seen in any goddamn game. Ever. And I think that's all I have to do is just give an image of that water and be like, this is a video game that almost any computer can run and you can play right now with your friends. That's a selling point. Another one will be the loot. I'm not the loot, the gear that you can buy. That's definitely very nice to see in the seas when you're like wearing some amazing gear that you either acquired or obtained from somewhere else. There's something rewarding about showing off gear that you worked hard for that I think some people will like, but most of all, it's just the visuals of the game and it's the experience of the game.
And what do you think would be something that somebody would look at the game and not be that excited about? Like something that maybe either Rare has to improve on, or it's just something about the game that people might not just like. Like they might just not like it. I'll give you an example, just kind of like kickstart that question. I personally think that some people are just really strong PvP players and some people are just very PvE players. When you have games like that kind of mix both together, you kind of have these people in the middle that are like, I want to do this, I don't want to do that. We saw that in Destiny, where you would have people who are like, I do not want to raid, I don't want to go into Crucible, I don't want to do Trials, I just want PvE. Yeah. This game does something that a lot of games kind of either they separate them into different lobbies. In this game, it's all in one. You've got PvE, PvP, all at once. It's kind of like Escape from Tarkov in that sense, where like you've got AI and people, and you have no clue who's in between. I think that's going to be something that some people might not like, and I think to add to Lewis's point, I think the visuals are stunning. I love the artwork, I love the style, but I think some people might actually be turned off on it. Because some people might see the game, maybe preferably people who are ignorant about what the game's about, and they'll just look at it and be like, "It's a kid's game."
I see your point. I see why, but it has a mix. Like it is very cartoony, but when you look at the water, that water does not look like cartoon.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
like they took real life water and then they added Overwatch graphics on the side, and it's like it's that perfect mixture of maturity with cartooniness that just works so well. And that's what it's such a beautiful game for me.
I got you.
I mean, I like the fact that the game is just purely PvP. It's just I like the realism of it that you could go anywhere and anyone can take away your loot, because if not, there's no tension, there's no competitiveness, there's no actual objective. Because what's the point of going to an island for me and just taking the loot, and once I grab it, the game is already programmed to register that as my squad's loot, as my team's loot, and you can't take it away, and you can't even get on our ship because there's like a circle of protection around it. No, I like that open worldness of it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think that I completely agree. For me, all the things that we've mentioned that people might not like or people like, or the things that we do like, I agree with all of them. I think that I personally... The game is stunning. The water is the best water I've ever seen. The mechanics are fun. My selling point for people is very easy. There is no barrier for entry. You could have somebody that has a full-time job, can't play very much, can only jump in maybe once or twice, 2 hours or 3 hours a week, and you can tell them, hey, this is not a commitment. You don't have to be level 20, 30, 40, 50 to jump in with us and play. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Lewis and I are playing all morning since the beta dropped, all day. We leveled up our factions. We had the best voyages. And Justin from the podcast, you guys know him, he jumped in with us. He was playing with us, and he actually was able to raid with us just two or an hour and a half into him playing today.
Mm-hmm.
And that was awesome.
He could have raided. He could have raided from as soon as stepping on the sand.
The second he stepped on the boat, he could have gone straight to the raid. Yeah. Nothing changed. The weapons didn't change. The cutlass that cuts doesn't cut differently.
Standardization of all weapons, which is great.
I love it. I like it. Make some weapons look better than others. Totally cool with that. Make maybe one fire like fire bullets, but same damage.
Damage.
But fire bullets.
Keep
like
all the weapons standard.
Bullets.
Keep all the weapons standard, but just change the aesthetics, and that's it.
Absolutely.
It's just based on it's just based on your skill and how good you are as a pirate compared to the other person. I wanna add on to what you said about there is no barrier for entry. You're right. Any person that's coming in could choose how they want to play the game. They can either go competitive, become a pirate legend. They could just go around and sail on their own in a sloop, and they could just enjoy the game.
Right?
Yeah, a sloop. They could just chillax, enjoy the aesthetics of the game, have some fun with their friends. Just ride the boat. Someone else can go on quests. Someone else can go actually and invade other teams, other ships. The sky's the limit with this game. There's no barrier, which is why I like this. There's so much variety and things you can do, and hopefully they just add more.
Yeah, and you also have like crossplay, right? Like, I mean,
well, we just did it.
Yeah, we just did it.
Yeah,
which was really cool. Like, I mean, how long did it take us to do it? Like, nothing at all.
Well, no, the longest time was just downloading the game, but we fired up really quickly and we had no issues. But it was smooth. It was pretty smooth, actually. Like, I didn't notice you were on PC. You didn't know it was Xbox.
And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to play because you really don't have a laptop. I don't have an Xbox. Like, you have like a gaming laptop, but like,
it's old. It's very old.
It's not feasible for that.
Not very. Especially, I don't like mouse and keyboard. I'm not really used to the feel. I'm spoiled. I like the spoil of the controller.
PC Master Race.
So for me, the Xbox works out for me, and we can play. And I don't feel like you have an advantage or I have a disadvantage.
Not at all.
So it works out perfectly.
I think it's a huge strength for the game.
Yeah.
Even though it's not on PlayStation, we all know why that's happening. But I think it's great that the fact that obviously Microsoft runs Rare. There's that ownership system there. The fact that you have the game on PC, it runs on both PC and console. You can play them. You can play on both. Your friends, and I think it's great. I think that is a huge selling point for the game as well, especially for people who, Justin, for example, I've known Justin for quite a bit of time now, and I've never played a game with him because he's always been on the Xbox side. I've been on the PC, PlayStation side, and finally this game has kind of like put us together. Like it's finally like that bridge, and that's cool. I like it.
Can I just say something in regards to Rare? Just want to say, they made up a lot.
No, you can't, Louis. You can't. I'm not gonna let you talk anymore.
My time's up. Yeah, I ran out of minutes.
Time is up. We're done. We're
4
done.
minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Go.
I used to be a Banjo-Kazooie fan from Nintendo 64, and that was made by Rare.
That's really old.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying it was such a great game. Like it had a lot of nostalgia for me, and then Rare managed to make mistakes with the Banjo-Kazooie game that they brought out for Xbox, which was nothing that the fans of Banjo-Kazooie thought it was, and that just kind of put a bad taste in the fans' mouth. And since then, Rare has been dead. But this has been like a revitalization for Rare because it's definitely brought respect back to them, and I think that a lot of the fans will be very happy with this game moving forward. And I just want to congratulate them here on the podcast. Good job, guys. And keep doing good. Yeah,
absolutely. I second that. Rare, good job. Congrats. We're looking forward to a marvelous release, March 20th. This is not a sponsored podcast in any way.
They should sponsor us, please.
Here. Definitely. If you're listening to this, we will definitely say with disclosure, but we are not sponsored. This is just us giving a full faith review on what we believe is going to be an excellent game, and potentially, hopefully, a genre changer. This is a genre that they're creating in their own little right. Any last minute words before we close out episode 48?
No.
All right. Good, guys. Good. All right. So you guys know the way it works. As the jury, you will not be tasked to deliberate on what we just spoke about. Primarily, the question will probably revolve around whether you like Sea of Thieves and if you're excited for it. You know, what do you know, if you're excited for it, you're going to vote yes. And if you're not excited for it, you're going to vote no. It's going to be an easy question. And you're going to vote by going to hungjurynetwork.com. Click on the weekly deliberation page where you will find a poll that will let you be a part of that final verdict. We will then disclose the results at the start of the following show. Please remember they upload every Monday. Timing depends on the weather. Make sure to check out our website, www.hungjurynetwork.com. Search us up on iTunes, Google Play Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and other affiliate podcast services as Hung Jury Gaming Podcast. This conversation goes both ways, so send us your thoughts. Join the jury by tweeting your comments to @Hung Jury Gaming Podcast and join the Facebook page. As always, guys, thank you for listening. Your hosts, Kevin, Lewis, Mondo, we are out, and check us out next week.
Peace, people.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Party people.